to take a quick look at how you can listen to Car and Truck Talk USA each week. Several ways. You can go to our websites live at carandtrucktalk.com or ericthecarguy.com. Click on the player that you'll see on the page. It'll say live now when our show goes live. It'll take you right to a chat room, which will put you right in the chat room of the show. You can type back and forth with us, or you can download the TalkShoe Pro program free of charge, and you can actually call us right over your computer with your headset microphone and talk to us on the air. Here's a few snippets of last week's show. We'd love to have you stop by from YouTube to Car and Truck Talk USA, the live webcast, and then you can also download us on iTunes or Android Podcasts when you get the time. Love to see you there.
And listen to the show. It's just, I don't know. It feels like a more real connection than just typing through email or something else.
That's for sure. Even like our posts that we occasionally make, you make a video post on your ericthecarguy.com site most of the time, and you're talking with your listeners and educating them a little bit. And, with my blog at carandtrucktalk.com, it's more or less a blog post. But like you said, yeah, this is true interactivity, and it's really amazing that it's so available to everyone, really.
Yeah, the digital age is a wonderful age to live in.
That's for sure. We're very lucky people. Well, moving on to our first news story, Eric. I found this hard to believe. I had to read the story a couple times, and I had to just digest this because to me it was hard to believe. But Toyota Prius is about 10 years old now, and they just passed an important milestone in the U.S. here. They sold their 1 millionth Prius in the United States, Eric.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this one just happened a few days ago, and I don't see too many Priuses on the road, and I kind of scratched my head, and I was wondering, damn, 1 million cars, where are they all at?
I see them a lot, and I like the idea behind the Prius, but ultimately the carbon footprint that's created through the manufacturing of that vehicle kind of offsets its apparent, emissions, the advanced emissions that it does have. I believe they mine the nickel up in Canada, which is a dirty, messy business in and of itself, and then they stick it on a diesel-powered boat, send it over to China to be refined, and then they send it to Japan to make into those batteries that go into those cars, and then they put it on another diesel-powered boat and send it back over to California. So just the kind of things you need to do to make that car, I'm not totally sold on it, but I like the idea of trying to be more environmentally conscious. It's just, I don't know, sometimes, and maybe I'm pissing off some Prius owners out there, but they, I don't know, they come with an attitude almost. It's like, hey, I'm saving the planet. Well, I can tell you right now, if you drive a hybrid car like you do a regular car, you're not saving the planet. You're actually probably using more gas, because the more you use the gas engine instead of the electric engine, the more gas you're using. So if you try to drive at 80, 90 miles an hour on the highway, well, you're not going to save anything. You need to drive them differently, and you need tipping into the gas a little slower, that kind of thing. In addition to that, I mean, when you've got a huge, heavy battery in a car, you have to overcome that static inertia, which the electric motor does a good job of it. But still, I mean, I think we're on the right path, but I think we got a ways to go before we start getting that environmentally conscious way of living.
That's for sure. Short of a vehicle that you'll pedal with your feet, I think the electric car is getting there. I mean, it does take the natural resources to put it together, but you're using less of the gasoline, less oil product, and you're spewing less carbon footprint, as you said, into the atmosphere. But join us weekly on iTunes Music Store. You can download our podcast with your iPod, your iPhone, or your MP3 player. That's Car and Truck Talk USA with Rich Baxter and Eric the Car Guy. We'd love to have you download the show or listen to us live. Check out our websites, carandtrucktalk.com or ericthecarguy.com for our next show time. We usually tape the shows on Sundays, and we'd love to have you stop by in the chat room, say hello, and get a chance to talk to us live on the show at Car and Truck Talk USA. Here's another snippet for the YouTube crowd to listen to. If you haven't heard our show yet, here's what it sounds like. weekends on Car and Truck Talk USA.
Saves you money because it keeps your maintenance costs down. But you are right. I mean, putting one of those on during maintenance is a good idea for those that have them.
That's for sure. Well, we're going to take a quick question out of the chat room here, Eric, and a very good question here. I know guest 14 saying he's got a radiator leak, and he's got a leak across the top of the radiator.
Classic.
Probably at the seal somewhere, and he's wondering what he could do about that.
If you want to sit there and try to bend all those metal tabs back and try to bend it all back after you put a new seal in there, you go right ahead. But I can tell you right now, you'll get to probably about a quarter of the way across the radiator, and you'll say, heck with this, I'm going to buy another radiator. Which ultimately, that's probably what you're going to have to do. It's just it's a characteristic of that design. After a while, that seal between the plastic tank and the aluminum body wears out, and you just get those leaks there. It's a classic thing with radiators, and that's just how they leak these days because they're multi-piece radiators as opposed to the one big hunk of metal that they used to be. So, yeah, that's definitely made a challenge for that. But you could try stop leak, but if you're listening to this podcast, it's very likely you've seen the video about my opinions on stop leak. Which are basically that if you're going to use it, make sure you use it according to the directions on the bottle or whatever it is that it comes in. Because if it's not used properly, it can cause a lot of problems. And if you do use it, be aware that you are using something that cuts the inside of your entire cooling system. It just doesn't go to the leak. And then, of course, there's all those home remedy methods and things. Somebody even said something about tobacco once and suggested that. I knew about eggs. I knew about pepper. You can put pepper in there. But those are all methods that are like really old school when radiators were massive and engines were massive and older cars that, you could do just about anything to and they would still run. But newer computer-controlled systems are highly sensitive to any changes you make to them. So even these days, they're monitoring thermostat temperature and those kinds of things. So you run that risk. So unfortunately, to answer your question, I think you're going to have to replace that radiator.
That's true, but I somehow always try to recommend to people I know that come into the store from time to time. I'm a professional automotive parts seller, as Eric is a professional repair guy. But Eric, one thing I always tell somebody is, what is it going to hurt? If you're going to replace the radiator anyway, take a shot on something, and maybe it'll give you time to either get some money up to buy one or, trade the car in or sell it, get another one, something like that. So everybody's in a different set of circumstances. Sometimes radiators are a little expensive. People might not have the money, but one of the most inexpensive ones, Eric, is like you were saying, it looks like pepper. It comes in a small vial, like a tube, and they have different names for it, but silver seal, solder seal, stuff like that. It's probably about $1 a tube. You might even take a try with that, or there's more expensive ones out there on the market, and some of them do work. They actually get in there and clog that leak, but it depends on the size of the leak and exactly what's wrong with your radiator. But give it a try. You never know. Could solve your problem. Could go for years and be fixed.
Well, in fact, I get a lot of comments on those videos that I posted about stop leak, and some are positive and some are not so positive. But once again, if you're going to use it, just make sure that you follow the directions to the letter. If not, your results may not be.
May vary.
Yeah, the results may vary. But in addition to that, you could end up causing problems. And see, this is where I walk a fine line, Rich. I like to save people money, and I like to, try to point them in the right direction. But to me, if there's a potential for something to go wrong,